Welcome to 216, a link to the Past Randomizer podcast. I am your host, Fear Agent. Today on the show, we've got Humbugh. Great conversation with Humbugh. Real timely, too, as he just finished first place overall in the ALTTPR main tournament qualifiers. We do chat a little bit about that, so that's pretty fun. Humbugh's just a good dude, just a really good dude. Glad to get a chance to sit down and talk with him and, hear his story. Learn a lot. It's a really good conversation. We'll get to that. So last week I talked about the future of the show, kind of up in the air, whether or not the show's coming back. The hosting was up at the end of May, the middle of May. Paying for the show wasn't something that I was looking forward to do again. And so there's questions like, are people listening was a big question. I knew that the show was being downloaded, but I didn't know if people were actually listening. Turns out a lot of people are listening. That's awesome. As far as paying for the show, I don't have to do that now. Some very generous people have offered to step up to pay for hosting, and that's a burden that is now off my plate. 216 is going to continue. I really just enjoy talking to people in the community. That's, kind of what it comes down to. The big hang up in my head was also the release schedule. I'm someone who likes routine. I like to know when my podcasts are coming out. Every Monday, I listen to Comedy Bang Bang. Every Thursday, I listen to Freedom and Improv for Humans. Every Friday, I listen to Scott Hasn't Seen, throwing a little WTF there as well. I like schedule. Now, the difference being, those people all are getting paid to do the show. This is just something that I do on my own because I enjoy talking to people. I think I'm okay at it. Y'all seem to enjoy it. So, there's that. But I don't feel like there has to be a set schedule, like I'm going to do 16 episodes a season or whatever. Episodes are just going to come out. I'll record 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, a couple episodes here or there, and then I'll put them out. So I did this little chunk of 4, these last 4 episodes, Sleeby, Temp, Zelga, and Humbugh. They were originally scheduled to be on in season 3 before I canceled that early. And I wanted to get to those guys. And, I thought the show was probably going to go away. It's 4 months in between those episodes. And then I recorded with them and I just got the itch. I just really enjoyed talking with all 4 of them that it's like, I don't want to stop doing this. So here we are. 216 will continue on an irregular basis. The show will come out on Mondays. That's the one consistent. You can always look for a show on Monday. There might be a few weeks between shows. You might get a run of shows. There might be 4 weeks where you just get consecutive weeks of shows. You might get a show 1 week and then 3 weeks later get another show. I'm not making any promises other than the show will continue, and I'll continue to talk to people, and I'll continue to release them on Mondays. And I feel really good about my position in the community. I feel really good about getting a chance to talk to everyone and kind of like elevate other people. I really enjoyed that. I enjoy that there's a backlog of shows for everyone to listen to. I feel really good about you all listening to the show. Like I asked for feedback and I got a ton of it in the Discord. That was awesome. That made me feel really loved. And I kind of needed that. Big shout out again to the people that volunteered to pay for the show. That's super awesome. I mentioned I hate asking for money. Terrible with it. I have a hard time accepting it, but I know that I wanted the show to continue. So it's something that I had to just come to grips with. So 216 is not going away. It'll still be around. So that's the positives. As far as guests go in the future, I do want to finish up with the people I had originally scheduled for season 3. I never announced it publicly, and I haven't talked to them recently, so I'm not guaranteeing that they'll be on the show. But next 5, I would say, interviews that I will be conducting will be with, fingers crossed, Megawatt, Darity Pills, 2C, Shady Force, and Gans Gone Wild. Yeah, some people to look forward to. And then after that, who knows? I do know that there's a lot of newer people in the community that I'm not familiar with because I'm not racing as much. I did my first commentary the other day with Tracy M. That was great. Had a lot of fun with that. And I don't want to get stuck in the rut of just having people on the show that have been in the community for a really long time. So if there's newer people in the community that you'd like to hear from, DM me or put it in the podcast channel of the 216 podcast Discord. Just let me know some names of people that I might not be familiar with that you'd love to see on the show. I mean, I have a long list of people to talk to, so there's no shortage of people to chat with. I'm feeling really good about 216 and its future and kind of what it's evolved into. Less pressure, just kind of let the show come out and be what it is. know that people will still be listening, even with a little bit of a break or an irregular schedule. So this is the final episode of this 4 episode run that I've had recorded. There will be a little bit of a break. I'm going to be playing Tears of the Kingdom for the next month and a half. I'm really looking forward to that. So I won't be recording during the Tears of the Kingdom playthrough. I've been watching Succession. It's the final season of Succession. And all I've heard about is how good Succession is. And I'd never watched it. And I'm already through season 1 and season 2. I'm about, 3 episodes into season 3. Really enjoying that. It's kind of a hard show to watch because of how terrible everyone is. It's like you're not really rooting for anyone. I don't know. It's really good. Really well written and acted, and really been enjoying that. Kids and I saw the Super Mario Brothers movie, the release day, so about a month ago. That was a lot of fun. Really simple story, kind of dumb, but it was exactly what it kind of needed to be. Like, I felt like Nintendo didn't want to swing for a home run coming out. They needed something safe. They needed to make sure that they got on base. So they played it as safe as they could, and it's market tested, and it's not going to offend, and it's going to do exactly what it's trying to do. And it did it well. And the animation was great. I thought the look of the movie was really good. You know, tons of visual Easter eggs, tons of musical Easter eggs. Jack Black as Bowser, of course, was a lot of fun. You know, they went for a solid single just to get on base, and they ended up hitting a home run as far as box office goes. So we should be getting some more Nintendo movies. I liked it. It was fun. Kids really liked it too. Peaches has been played so much in my household. And being a big Jack Black fan, I don't mind. I may be the one playing it a couple times here or there. Main tournament in full swing. No idea what's going on. It's hard to pay attention to all of the races. There's just constant races going. As I mentioned, I did do some comms with Tracy. That was a lot of fun. That was for Scottish Brave versus Jay Meisher. That was a really fun race. That was on the ALTTPR Twitch channel. Check that out. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. And as far as the future of 216 goes, it's safe. So won't be talking too much in the future about where 216 is going, because it's just going to be going. And at least for the next year, maybe longer. I know some of the people that were offering to pay or were willing to pay for even longer than a year. So as long as there's people to talk to and I'm enjoying doing it, 216's got a pretty bright future. So that feels pretty good. What also feels good is talking to the person that I talked to on this episode, and that is Humbugh. As I mentioned in the beginning of the show, the dude has been tearing it up. Number 1 in the qualifiers. I'm not sure exactly how he's doing in the group stage. I'm sure it's good. It's Humbugh. Dude's really good. But hearing his story, just like, you know, talking with everyone, hearing their story and understanding who they are, learning about their past, we find out a lot about what makes Humbugh. His relationship to gaming was really interesting growing up, and how that plays into his current relationship with his girlfriend. All that stuff we really delve into, and it's really, really interesting. And Humbugh's just a good dude. I just really love talking to good people. So enough of me. Let's get to the interview with Humbugh. All right. It's not often you get to have the best runner in Rando on your show, but today I'm joined by the best runner in Rando. And I'm excited to pick your brain and talk about your journey to becoming that, because on today's show, we've got Humbugh. Humbugh, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all good. How are you doing, Fear?
I'm doing great. Dude, your ascent to where you are now has been awesome to watch, because I'm a big fan of the way you play the game and just who you are in general. So it's been really fun to watch you kind of climb and get better and better at this game.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
you'll never admit it, right? You'll never talk about being the best, but I can talk about you being the best.
Well, sure. It's like every time I like objectively do something that is like that I consider being well done, I just get so awkward when people actually say "well done."
Sure. Yeah.
It's just the way I work.
Sure. It's hard to accept compliments, especially with something
Yes,
that's randomized, right? Like,
yeah,
there's
right.
an element of like, the word randomizer is in the game that we play, but there's more to it than I feel like every game has an element of randomness to it anyway. So there's always a skill level, and
Sure.
nobody wants to
But
attribute that.
right. But I feel like it's like certain people have a slightly easier tendency to fall back on the excuse of it was just rando.
Yep.
I was just lucky,
Yep.
And I'm trying to not do that, but man, is it hard.
There's this weird like tension of like, you don't want to come off as an asshole and be like, I'm really good at this game.
Yeah.
Right. And then you also don't want to come off as like, oh, it's all luck, it's random, da 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 da. There's like a fine balance between it.
For sure.
I think people honestly need to take more confidence in the fact that they are good at this game. This is not drawn at you specifically. I think it's a community-wide thing of people not wanting to like offend anyone and say like, oh, or come off as like, so many people are afraid of coming off as cocky when in fact, they're good at the game, right? Like you're good, and yeah, sure, there is a randomness to it, but that's with most games that have some sort of element of that's out of your hands or whatever. So,
yeah, it is.
Normally we go right to the past. Like I want to hear everything about who you are and all that kind of stuff. We'll get to that. Yeah. We just came off of the qualifiers for this year's the 2023 main tournament. Turns out you did pretty good.
Yeah. I
yeah.
So here's the thing about that. With the asyncs, like just as a side note, shout outs to the main tournament crew for making that happen. I found that to be awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, with the asyncs, I like, at some points that you did well. Like you can feel in a seed that you did well, right? If it is like that. And like I felt during literally all of my runs, all the 5 runs I did, I felt like I did well. I didn't feel like I did super well or anything, but I just felt like I played good and I made sensible decisions. I'd never last located. Like, what the hell? And then I didn't want to get my hopes up, And I see in my qualifier sheet where I could only see my scores. They never heckin' changed. I thought the system was broken.
Yeah,
but I couldn't say anything because it would tell too much, It was weird. I was waiting for that announcement, and I was waiting for 15 people to be above me. Although I knew exactly what score I had.
Yeah.
But yeah. It just was 5 seats that went really well for me. I played well. I did.
Yeah.
But it went way better than expected.
Do you think the async attributes to that? Tell me about your experience overall with all of the qualifiers. Did you do all async qualifiers? Did you do live ones? And then just kind of tell me about how everything went. Obviously it went well, but how you were feeling as it went through.
Yeah, I did 2 live races and 3 asyncs. I did the live races that I could do because I thoroughly enjoy big races. I miss them a lot, so I wanted to do the ones that I could, which were only 2 of them, and they went really well. I came in second of the players that were eligible for scoring in both of them.
Wow.
The asyncs, I played the open hard first, and that was the open hard plus seed that had mitts on Zora with no Zora money.
Okay.
So obviously you do Aga, and then you find mates on Zora, and you're just like, oh man, that was my first one, and I was like, all right, well, time to fight. Or I hope maybe I can get into second quartile. I don't know.
Sure.
And then I finished that run and just wait. I got a 103. Oh, everyone else must have done exactly the same as I did.
Yeah.
And that's the first time that I actually thought the system was broken. I didn't think that I would finish that well, honestly.
Sure.
McBoss went okay as well. It went good. It wasn't perfect in it by any means, but it went good. It went well. And then the Ambrosia one was just insane. I found the dumbest god route of all times. It was hilarious.
Did you get the seed with hookshot on mushroom?
Yes.
Okay.
I got the seed with hookshot on mushroom. I skipped the mountain.
Wow.
Inverted.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
I made literally every right call except for one, and that was that I forgot money for pod. But out of all the choices I could have made, I made every right decision.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I last locationed that mushroom, by the way, including going into swamp.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's like it inverted, checking the mushroom is just such a cumbersome check if you don't have it when you're in the area. It's just like, I'm never going to do that. So
I was lucky. I remember specifically, and this is one thing that I always have a gripe with inverted, and that is King's Tomb. I have a tendency to do CAC from the north, like I do the castle checks, and then I do CAC from the north. So first Bank and then Lost Woods and then down to CAC. And it so often happens, I feel like I get Mix and Boots in CAC. And then just King's Tomb is orphaned.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just followed along my route and I ended up in Ice Palace, got the mushroom and just, okay, I have 2 checks up there now. Let's just do both of them. And that was what saved it, Yeah. From there, it was just a straight path to the victory. So yeah, it was such a good rando run for me.
Did you finish first in that one?
Yes, nice. By 9 minutes.
Wow.
I think, or 7. It was a lot.
Sure.
Anyway, it was, like I said, it was a stupid god route.
So it's safe to say that you really enjoy the async. Do you feel like it's less pressure or because you still did the live ones and still finished really well? So
I remember playing the first one, Open Heart Plus, and I remember thinking to myself that, wow, I don't feel any jitters. I'm just playing because it's fun. I remember screwing up, like doing Aga when it wasn't necessary, but it didn't really faze me that much. I just I just continued playing because I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something to it. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Maybe it is less pressure or it's just new to the community, right? Like I feel like asyncs have been around forever, but not on this scale.
No, it's been around as like a safety net.
Yeah,
as something to fall back on when all else fails. But now it was the main way to do it almost. And it worked so well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So that's kind of covering where we're at. We'll come back and circle back to this. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's rewind it. Little Humbugh.
All right.
You're obviously not American. I can tell by your accent. Where did you grow up?
I live in Sweden. I've grown up in Sweden. I've almost always lived here.
And there's a nice little community of people in Sweden. I talked to Nils and Alex, of course. I'm not sure. I know a couple of different names. I'm totally blanking, but I know there's a good community of people up there.
Yeah, we when I started playing Rando, it was obvious to me that Nilsson was Swedish, right? Since he has his name as his tag. But it took a while for me to like enter that community. But it's such a cool group of people. I like a lot hanging out with them, both IRL and just over this Discord, playing stupid seeds.
Sure.
I play a lot with, well, Nissan for one. I play a lot with Telmiran, and a lot of other people that have sort of just associated themselves with the Nordic community.
Sure.
By like not being Nordic, that's not the point.
Right.
Hang out in the Nordic community to a degree that I basically think of them as Nordic at this point.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So growing up, what was gaming like for you? I'm not sure because I have no experience of what games were like in Sweden. Did you have access to everything?
Yeah,
as far as like Nintendo and whatnot.
Sure.
And what were you playing?
We had access to it. I would assume we were lagging behind a year, maybe. But not that much. But growing up, gaming wise, for me, gaming was, I don't want to say forbidden, but it was definitely frowned upon.
This is a family thing, or is it cultural?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a family thing. It's I know, like, I remember growing up and thinking about gaming as something that I really, really loved. I enjoyed it so much, and playing games with my friends, like playing video games with my friends, was one of my favorite things to do. But there was some kind of stigma around it in my family that is not something that you're supposed to do. It's
even as a kid, you're not supposed to do it.
No.
Okay.
No. As a kid, you're supposed to be outside.
I see.
I mean, you know, I get the logic in that and all. It's a good thing to enjoy the outdoors and whatnot, but I remember enjoying it a lot, but it being stigmatized in a way that it was almost forbidden, and that I could basically never talk to anyone about it, made it made it stigmatized for a long time. So gaming has always been this sort of weird mishmash of, I love this, but I also have it in me as something that is not good for me, or whatever.
Like you're wasting your time, basically, right? You should be doing other stuff, not wasting your time with video games. So I take it you guys didn't have a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo in your house.
I bought my first console when I was 24 years old and lived on my own.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So all the gaming that you're doing, all the gaming that you're experiencing is over at friend's house?
Yep. All of it.
Okay.
Literally all of it, yes.
That's crazy. That's such a, not that I don't understand what your parents are, especially is this in the 80s?
90s. I'm born in 80s. Okay. I'm born in 87. So
okay.
It was in the 90s.
Okay. Yeah, there was definitely in the 90s, especially I can't speak to what it was like where you're at, but in America, of like, especially with like the Mortal Kombat stuff, like gaming is bad for children. Like, you know what I mean? Like that was definitely prevalent back in the 90s. So I definitely understand it. And I can understand how you could be like, parents can kind of get swept up in that as well. So you don't have access to these consoles. What were you playing when you got to play with your friends? Were there games that kind of stuck out to you?
Yes. My friends had some Nintendo consoles. I remember specifically playing Super Mario Bros. 3.
Okay.
I think that was the first game it's the first game I remember playing. And I believe the second one is probably Link to the Past.
Oh, okay.
I have very strong memories from playing Link to the Past the first time. Like when my friends got it, I think they got it from Christmas or whatever. I have very vivid memories of it.
Yeah. What were some of those memories?
They are very specific. It's weird. they are specific in a way that I cannot think of another memory from my childhood, like from when I was 7 or 8 years old.
Sure.
There's nothing else that is this vivid. I remember specifically reading the sign that is just outside of the Death Mountain Ascent Cave, like below, like just before you go into Old Man Rescue Cave, you know? In English, I remember this. It's stupid. It said, you're not allowed. Wait, no. It said something along the lines of, you need permission to enter Death Mountain or something. I remember specifically the word permission, because if you translate that literally into Swedish, it doesn't mean permission anymore. It means parole. Like if you get a parole from prison.
Okay. Yeah.
Sort of makes a slight bit of sense, because you get permission to do something that you don't get to do.
Sure.
But I remember it, and I remember not understanding it. Like I didn't know what the word permission meant, but somehow I knew what the Swedish word for parole meant.
Yeah.
What the hell? So that's one thing that just stuck to me. I don't know. Maybe awesome. More because I've played the game later, like now a lot. It has stuck to me way more than it would have otherwise, but I remember it.
I love it. I love those little things that kind of like implant themselves. And like, there's so much that I don't remember about being in 5th and 6th and 7th grade, but I do remember playing the escape sequence in Legend of Zelda, like that feeling that I had of trying to rescue Zelda, and it's like raining outside. It was like it's etched into my mind in a way that's like I'll never forget. But I couldn't tell you who my teachers were. I don't remember any of that stuff. But there's like, there's a couple of moments that are just like ingrained. I love that kind of stuff.
And it's like the fact that it works like that those are the parts that I remember so much. It just doesn't match with my surroundings view of gaming, of games, like video games in particular. The fact that I remember it so vividly, just to me, it means I loved it. But I wasn't supposed to,
Sure. Yeah. The battle of like, I don't know. It's almost like you're not supposed to. So the rebellious nature of our lives kind of like draw it to it even more. Like, we didn't grow up with consoles that were like just out. Like we were always getting stuff way later than everybody else. Like when the SNES came out is when we got our Nintendo.
All right.
Because we were kind of, low income family. Yeah. So we'd always have the old stuff, and all my friends, and I grew up in a very rich neighborhood, and all my friends had the latest and greatest. So I'd get the Nintendo and they'd all have Super Nintendo. I'm like, I need to play. I just can't wait to play Super Mario World or whatever on that Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
So you always had to keep video games at kind of an arm's reach, like arm's length, right? As you're growing up. Yes. So your parents aren't like, make sure you're not playing those video games.
Yeah.
What you said you bought your first console when you were 25. What console was that?
The 20, 24, 23, something along those lines. Yeah. Sure. I bought a Wii.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like I lived by myself. I was studying, and I think it was basically on a whim. I bought the Wii. Like as a student, you're not shitting money,
right?
But I kind of saved up for it slightly, and I just bought the Wii, and I bought it with Twilight Princess. I remember, and Mario Kart, and some other games as well.
Sure.
And I just played the heck out of it. I loved it. I remember the absolute freedom of being able to do it on my own because I wanted to. I remember that also vividly. That was way later, so it makes sense to remember it, but
sure,
it has stuck with me somehow.
For sure. So were you playing the other systems at your friend's house, or what was your relationship with specifically Nintendo and Zelda and stuff as you're growing up? Because I don't know how often you're getting to go play that kind of stuff.
It was my relationship with that later on, like when if we're talking like 2000s, like 2000, 2001, my friends had Nintendo 64s.
Mm-hmm.
We played Ocarina of Time. I remember that. But I specifically remember Majora's Mask.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends, they really enjoyed the Zeldas. They enjoyed the Marios as well. But the Zeldas were prevalent, and I just got hooked to Zelda. But Majora's Mask really, it strung a chord with me that no other game has, I think.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
Later on in life, I realized why. Because it's more than just an adventure game.
Right.
At least you can read more stuff into it. I don't know if it's there or if it was intended, but you can read stuff into it.
I mean, it's definitely there. I mean, the whole game is about confronting death, right? Yeah. Like, how do you confront death, and how do you deal with death, and pretty deep, like philosophical stuff for a silly Nintendo game.
Yeah,
and you can kind of ignore it, but I mean, the more you delve into it, it's definitely definitely asks questions for sure.
As a kid, that was too subtle for me to understand.
Sure.
I didn't get the nuances of the game when I was a kid. I remember it being hard. I remember it being hard to understand what to do. But when I played it again later in life, I realized, I knew what to do because I played it before, but I also made some connections of what this, I don't know, it meant something to me, and the game still means a lot to me. It really does.
Yeah. No, I get that. I totally get that. All right. So as you kind of get older and start gaming on your own, does it branch out past Nintendo? Like your first console is the Wii, but do you get into console gaming? Do you get into the Xbox or the PlayStation? And what was your relationship with some of the other non-Nintendo consoles?
Not really into other consoles, I don't want to say. I did some PC gaming, like mostly RTS stuff. But consoles, like I played consoles when I was over at friends or whatever, and we played. I really don't remember now, but it was, to me, it has been Nintendo as long as I can remember, like what I want to do, like what I want to play. Part of it is because I haven't been, I haven't tried a lot of the other stuff, but I don't know. I really don't feel the need to either.
I get that.
Yeah, like right now, and for the past 10 years, I've been playing a lot of board games. I have delved deep into the board game hobby. And that has sort of satisfied a lot of the gaming needs outside of, like, the niche Nintendo games. So
sure, yeah.
So you wouldn't call consoles not much, but
you wouldn't consider yourself a variety gamer then?
No, for sure. And the thing is, and this is also part of like, self-esteem stuff. A lot of the time, I don't consider myself a gamer at all. Like, I play tons of games, kind of. I play a lot anyway. But it's something in my head that just doesn't rhyme with myself calling me a gamer.
Sure.
I get it's kind of obvious in my upbringings and all, but I don't know,
is it a relationship? Do you think it's because of the relationship that you had growing up with games because of your parents? Yeah,
I think so. It at least it makes some logical sense, right?
Yeah. You start putting the pieces together for sure.
I think so, and it like it spills over into other parts of this as well. Like I've played NMG a lot. I have a time on the leaderboard, but I still don't consider myself a speedrunner.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's so weird, all of this. And
For sure.
It's still in me a lot, the fact that part of it is supposed to be forbidden, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that you're a gamer, dude. Like you might know you might know to admit it. And I understand, you know, as I learn about your past a little bit, understand the relationship with that a bit. But you're definitely a gamer in both the sense of you play lots of games and you're really good at them. Like you've got it covered on both ends.
That's good.
So you mainly stick to Nintendo. Do you continue purchasing more Nintendo consoles as they come out? Do you go Wii U and
yes? Like from the Wii, I've got it all, and I met my girlfriend that I've lived with for 10 years. Like one year into our relationship, we bought the Wii U when it was released, or maybe it was slightly later than it was released. But anyway, we bought it. Sure. We played a lot on it. We have a Switch now. We use it every day. I play a lot on it. I consume a lot on Nintendo Switch right now, and I really enjoy it. It's great. It really is. But yeah, Wii U, I did a lot.
Wii U is one of those weird consoles where it has some pretty good games, but it's also limited in what it did. Like
it had potential
for sure. Like I Super Mario Maker was the reason I bought my Wii U.
Oh yeah.
I still think Super Mario Maker 1 is a better game than Super Mario Maker 2, just because of the nature of like the way you would draw on the pad and make levels. Just felt so much more natural than the way you do it on the Switch.
It feels like you have a clipboard in front of yourself and you're just drawing whatever it is, and it's just so satisfying to actually have that.
And the Switch, technically Super Mario Maker 2 is better. You can do more stuff with it, and there's more enemies, and there's more to it. But the way levels were made in the first one just felt so much more natural, and I kind of miss that.
Yeah, I've done some Mario Maker. We really got into Mario Kart, me and my girlfriend. We still play it to death. Like we've played Mario Kart 8 since basically 2014.
Yeah.
And when they announced that they were gonna like release these booster packs every 3 months for 2 years, you know, the joy here between the two of us, we were like giggling for a month after that, and was like, oh, well, I wonder where the new tracks are going to come. I wonder what they're going to be. It was awesome. So yeah, we've played Mario Kart so much, and
it's such a good game.
Oh man,
it's such a good game.
Fun. It's
the fact that you could just like pick it up and play, and then the fact that you can grind it and get really good. You know what I mean? Like there's that anyone can play it. Yeah. Whether you're good or not, everyone can pick up a controller and just naturally play Mario Kart. It's built so well. Yeah. But you look at some of the people that can get really good at that game, and it's bananas how good they are. Like
insane. Like they had a showcase of the 48 track speed run on ESA this winter, and that speed run is crazy. Like they do stuff that I would never think of. It's so cool. It's so fun. And to see that in a game that I have poured so many hours into, especially along with someone I love, you know, it's so fun. Me and my girlfriend, we watched that run together. I just sat there, mouths wide open, and just stared at it. It was insane.
Yeah. That's awesome. So do you feel like you've been able to reconcile the past gaming world with like your parents and your family and stuff? Or is that something that's kind of always going to haunt you, you feel?
Slightly, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I still like I think of this at certain points. Like I still have a hard time talking about the gaming that I do, like the competitive gaming that I do, with my IRL friends, because in my head it's not something you're supposed to do, right? But I'm trying. I really, really am. It's hard, but I am trying.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm getting better at it, I think.
So you're not telling them about your first place in the main tournament qualifiers for this year?
I haven't told them yet. No.
Okay. What about your girlfriend? Is she obviously she's into gaming because you guys have the relationship through Mario Kart? Yeah. But when it comes to like Rando and Link to the Past, is she supportive in that as well?
She it took me, I think, 2 seconds after she walked into our apartment yesterday to show her the fact that I had finished first in the qualifier. So yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome that you can have that relationship, especially with what you grew up with, right? Like the fact that you can have someone that you can share who you actually are. Like you don't have to hide.
Yeah.
I like
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Super great.
Yeah. It is. It really is.
So, when did you start getting into watching or Twitch or speedruns or any of that kind of stuff? Was any of that in your wheelhouse, as far as like, because you talked about you're not much of you don't consider yourself a speedrunner, but you speedrun Link to the Past now. Were you watching speedruns? Were you watching Let's Plays? Were you watching any Twitch?
No, I wasn't. It was a friend of mine that just casually dropped the fact that he enjoyed watching speedruns and that he enjoyed watching GDQ. And he just dropped it, and I just felt like, all right, well, I could use something to watch, I guess. So I just like so many others, I turned on. I went to YouTube, found GDQ, and just looked through what games they had done, whatever year it was, and I saw a lot of them. I checked out a lot of them, and since I loved Zelda, I checked out a lot of Zelda games, and I enjoyed that a lot. Like I still follow a lot of those runners that did those runs on GDQ. I still follow the active ones on Twitch anyway.
Sure.
And I still like watching speedruns of almost every Zelda game, at least post Link to the Past and forward.
Not Zelda 1 or Zelda 2.
I've played Zelda 1. I enjoyed it. I haven't played Zelda 2. I don't have the same relationship with those games as with the later ones, because I haven't they haven't been imprinted in my upbringing as like the other games. So I'm rarely familiar with the speedruns of those games, but the later ones I know pretty well.
Okay. Was that your introduction to Twitch then?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Okay. So I take it that you saw the Andy Christos race, or was that your introduction to Rando, or where did Good
call. Yeah, it was.
Okay.
I have struggled trying to remember what the first one I saw was.
Sure.
I actually think that the first one that I saw wasn't a Rando. I think, and this is insane, I think the first one I saw was Zelna's low percent Oko run.
Oh, okay.
Which is, to this day, the stupidest and most skillful speedrun I've ever seen.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, probably because I know how hard it is because I play the game, But come on.
I think he had 3 or 6, an insanely low amount of deaths.
He died 3 times.
3 times, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That run was insane. I think that was a couple years after, or maybe a year after or something like that. I can't really remember. It all blends together.
That may be right. And I remember at one point I just stumbled upon Andy's and Christoph's run.
Yeah.
And like so many others, from like so many others of the people that started playing this game at roughly the same time as I did. I think you did as well, right?
Yeah.
I think we started at basically the same time.
Yeah, I think you and I were just getting into it about the exact same time, like mid 2018, early 2018-ish.
Sounds about right. About right.
Okay, so what makes you pick up the controller and think I'm going to play Link to the Past Randomizer?
I watched some of it, and I remember just saying, it's weird. It's also something that I remember vividly. Well, this is just, 5-6 years ago. I remember saying out loud to my girlfriend that this looks fun. I want to get good at this.
Yeah.
I like it. It hit something in me that nothing else has. It struck a chord in me that was just something that was so satisfying about it all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I grew up, like not playing video games, apparently though, I was competitive in orienteering, like running around in the forest trying to find the fastest path from point A to point B and so on. And
like in real life.
In real life,
Okay.
like actual athletics, yes.
Okay. I've never heard of that.
Very far away from gaming, right?
Okay, yeah.
But that activity shared something with, first of all, with just speedrunning in general, like you're trying to be as fast as possible, but also it shared something with rando. It shared something along the lines of, I'm not just trying to get from point A to point B. I'm trying to get there as fast and as efficient as possible.
Right. And you don't know the path, right?
And I don't know the path.
Yeah.
It was so, it was like made for me.
Sure.
It was sort of made for what I enjoy, and what like keeps me going. And I just I realized it very shortly after getting introduced to it for the first time.
Oh, that makes so much sense. The connection is just there. It
really does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you pick up the game, you say, I'm going to get good at it.
Yeah.
Do you just start practicing on your own? Do you start downloading seeds and just playing offline? Yeah. How long does that last for?
That lasted for, I think it lasted from September to January.
2018?
Yes, of 2018.
Okay.
And I believe I did my first daily on SRL in January 2019.
Okay. So that's a long time to go without racing. Are you racing anyone else? Like, do you have anyone in the community that you know? Or are you just downloading seeds? Okay, so you're downloading seeds and just practicing on your own.
Yes.
Watching tutorials or something?
No, I'm watching a lot of races. I remember catching up on the insane 512 Swiss tourney. I remember watching a lot of that, like lagging half a year behind.
Right. Yeah.
And I wasn't playing the seeds for practice. I don't want to say. I played the seeds because I really enjoyed it.
Sure, it was more for fun. It wasn't
the idea. It was.
Yeah.
But I also knew that sort of I had the idea of, I still want to get good at this, and to do that and to like prove that I'm good at it, I need to compete. And so January 2019, I think it was anyway. I did my first SRL lately.
So you talk about being competitive and wanting to compete. Did that come from somewhere? Did you grow up competitive? Like,
yes.
Besides the race thing that you're talking about, what was it called?
Like orienteering.
Okay, yeah, I've never heard of that before. But besides that, was there any other sports or any other competition?
Kind of. I played soccer.
Okay.
For a couple of years. I would say I would still say that I am sort of a team player. I don't think I'm bad on a team or anything. I just enjoyed individual racing more.
Sure.
I did some swimming. I did some badminton.
Okay.
I don't know where the hell that came from, but anyway, I just phased those out and then focused more on like the orienteering part of it all. And
Sure.
I was competitive in it, like nationally, up until I was in my early 20s when I just gradually shut it down.
Okay, so I've never heard of this before. Orienteering is what's called?
Yes.
Okay, so is that something that's big in Sweden?
I mean, that's relative. It's big here compared to anywhere else. And the sport is just it's a simple activity, really. You just get a map, you get a compass, you get a map of a certain part of the woods, and you need to get to point A, from point A, where you're at right now, to point B, from point B to point C, then from point C to point D, and so on, until you're at the finish line at the fastest way possible, and you only have the map of the terrain.
Do you get like a compass or a bike or any,
No, legs. You get your legs, you get your body, and you and you get a map, and it's like the map part of it all, I think, is what drew me into Rando. The need to optimize a route is I think the common factor here.
How big are these maps as far as like from point A to point B?
You mean in real life or the actual factual map?
The actual no, like how far do you have to travel?
Like when I so 10, 12 kilometers you'll have to run.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And you have to navigate that just using the map that they give you.
Yes.
Wow.
Correct.
And it's solo? Are you by yourself or is this?
I'm by myself.
Wow.
Like you either do it by yourself or you're in a relay, and you run for your team, and you run your lap, and then the next person on your team does their lap, and so on. Okay.
Yeah. This is fascinating because again, this is not something that's common here in the US as far as I know.
It's not. It's way more common in Europe, and especially in Northern Europe, where we have forests. We have large forests. And especially we have certain regulations that let us be in them whenever we want. We don't need any landowners to let us be there. We can just go there whenever we want.
Sure. That sounds awesome. It's such a cool idea.
It is. It is awesome. And I like I said, it has so many common denominators with Rando that I cannot like tribute I have to tribute some of the fact that I got into Rando to the fact that I did this when I was young.
Sure. And you said you were getting competitive up in the national ranks. Is that common, or is that something that takes a lot of work?
It took a lot of work. It was this is what I did in my free time from when I was 8 to when I was 21. It was my hobby. It was my life. It was everything, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's I'm super impressed and learning something because I've never learned. I just found a map in my area of like a group of people that do it in my area.
Well,
that's interesting. Yeah. I'm definitely gonna look into it because it's just a cool idea. I just think it's super cool.
It is, and what I really like about it, like now when I have some distance to it, is it's so welcoming to everyone. Like you don't have to be an elite runner to do it. Sure. You can just contact some of the people that have the maps, basically, and you can just walk you don't have to run. You don't have to practice or anything. You can walk and you can do it in your own pace and just do it as, common exercise because that's good for you to get at like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's
sure.
good for your body to do it. So it's so welcoming in that regard that anyone can do it.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see if I can steer this back to Rando.
I'm sorry for those derailing.
I love it. I could almost talk about this more than I could talk about Rando because I have so many more questions. So you enter your first race.
Yes.
Nervous? Jitters? How did that go?
Oh, man. And that hasn't stopped, by the way. But yeah, sure. I very nervous. It's so odd. Like in retrospect, why was I nervous? Like there was nothing on the line.
Yeah, and no one knows who you are, right?
Literally, no one knows who I am. I'm just there. And the whole process of getting into SRL, like the IRC client and all of that. Sorry, Fred, garbage. It was a labyrinth to get there, and I'm not that tech savvy either. So I was just happy to actually get it working.
Sure.
But yeah, I was really. It was jitterish. It went as expected. It didn't go very well, but I don't think I cared that much. It was just so awesome to actually just play in a race, to actually race something like this.
Sure. Yeah. That's super awesome. You don't remember how you finished in that first race?
Far down.
Sure.
I wasn't last. I was not last.
Yeah.
But far down.
Yeah.
SRL still exists. I could look it up, but I was very far down. I do remember one thing though, and that was I did a couple of dailies, 2 or 3, and then I did like one daily in which I remember I just pulled a god rod practically. I did Pendant, Turtle Rock, and found progression on Laser Bridge,
right.
as you do.
Yep.
And somehow that was such a powerful thing to do that I finished 4th.
Wow.
In that race.
Yeah.
And I was stoked. Like I was jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Again, it was a daily. It didn't mean anything at all, but it meant a lot to me.
Sure. Not to discredit what you're saying, none of it matters, right? Like even how right. Actually matters, except for maybe if you're playing in like the ladder invitationals where you win a prize or whatever. The rest of it doesn't matter. It's all you got first place in the qualifiers. That's awesome.
It does.
It changes nothing.
It slightly matters because I get to do the reveal rate, the reveal.
Sure.
But that's the prize I get, sort of.
Right. You got to play more random. Yeah.
Right. But I remember that race because I was watching Pinky DeRose, like PKR, a lot, and I remember that I somehow managed to beat her because she didn't do Turtle Rock for Laser Bridge. But I also remember that I had no idea how any of that worked, like any of the social stuff around it, like talking about the seed. How does anything work?
Right.
And I remember I finished 20 seconds later. I just blurted out the most brutal spoiler in the race room. Like, man, that TR play was cool.
Oh no!
I just didn't think about the fact that people would be watching that while racing. Like, who would do that?
Oh
right?
no! Yeah. That's so funny.
It was so dumb, but I felt so bad afterwards.
Sure. You have this great elation of finishing, where you did, and then this moment of come down of like, oh no, I just ruined it. Were people pissed?
No, they took it very.
Oh, good.
They were very gentlemanlike about it. No one was pissed, as far as I know. I hope they weren't, because it was an honest mistake, and I apologized. I remember, but yeah, I felt bad about it, but I kept on racing.
Because like a moment like that could cause someone to leave playing, right? Like an honest mistake that you made, someone new to the community. You were so excited, you had no idea how to share it. You make an honest mistake, and then if people will then like, oh fuck that humbug, what like what are you doing? You know, all of a sudden
get out of here,
you ruin
idiot. Yeah.
And you're not playing anymore. So the fact that they were able to handle it as well as they did, I think it's a testament to the community, hopefully.
I think so too. Yeah, for sure.
So do you begin to find people to start talking to? Do you join Discords? Are you finding other people in your area, or how long does that take?
It took a while. Like I'm socially very much okay on my own. I rarely feel the need for social interaction. So I played the game by myself for quite a long time, but eventually I found myself into like a group of people that were pinging the race planning channel on European afternoons. And that was usually the same people. I found my way into the Nordic Discord, but I don't think it was until League Season 2 that I actually felt like I actually started voicing, like talking to people when I joined up with Dataplet and Residador for the Season 2 League.
Okay, so can you talk about that? Why do you think that opened it up? Is it because of the team environment? Do you feel like it relaxed things for you a bit? Can you? Yeah,
it was part the team environment for sure. Like playing the game with someone else, along with someone else, and like the co-op aspect of it all. Sure, yeah. But also just actually having someone else to talk to, about the game. Like, of course, that was actually fun. It actually heightened the experience as opposed to just playing it by myself.
Right. So you didn't need the social aspect of the game. You enjoyed the game on its own, but once you got it, it kind of opened up a door for you, right? Like,
it did for sure. The further that traveled along, and I ended up along with like the PogChamp community, and was also introduced into other communities. It just I gradually realized that, man, it's so much more fun to do this with someone else. Like,
totally.
I'd still enjoy it on my own, but I had to experience it with someone else to actually realize how fun it is with someone else.
Yeah. How did you end up hooking up with Recidador, and was it Dataplet for Season 2?
Oh, you'll have to ask them. I have no idea.
Oh, they just invited you?
Yes. Well, I wrote my name in one of the needs a team channel in the league Discord, and they asked me, basically. Yeah. Which I'm very thankful for. So we had a lot of fun that first season as forfeiters are us.
Yeah, and you guys did all right, 8-6.
We did.
Yeah, it was a trial by fire season for everyone in the league. You come back for Season 3. You guys are in the Invitational. Doesn't go your way.
Not entirely, no.
A bit rougher that year. Looks like you went 5-9.
Yes. We were glad to not be relegated.
I see.
Yeah.
But you didn't come back for Season 4 with them. No.
It was a team decision to just we're okay. Like I would have played if if the others wanted to, but it wasn't. I wasn't hinging anything on it. So we just said, it's okay. We'll just watch. It's fun. There are other ways to play the game. It's okay. But then
we'll talk about it as much as you're willing to talk about it. Season 4 happens.
I mean, there's really not much to say.
You joined Fromp's time with Scarlet and Tiso.
Yep. Yes. And I didn't get to play my first game with them before Scarlet was banned because of cheating.
Yep.
And we just said, we don't want to play.
So yeah, let's talk about that, because I was an admin at the time, and I talked. I think I specifically talked with you and Tiso about, like, it is a shitty situation, right? Like, nobody wants to have to deal with a cheater on your team. You don't want to deal with that. But we're willing to work with you on whatever you guys wanted to do, and offer to find you other teammates and stuff like that. But you two decided that it would be better just to not play.
I left that decision to Tiso completely.
Oh, okay.
Like they were the one who they were invested in the team and in the Brazilian community, and still am, as far as I know, in a way that, like, I didn't feel like I had much say. I joined the team late because they had Tepedino had to take a step back. So I just joined in because, they wanted to play the league, and I just felt, I'm not playing, so I can help them actually play. But then that happened, and Tiso just felt, no, he didn't want to. He didn't want to continue. It was
understandably, right? Like,
for sure, it was so tainted by this whole situation that, no, it just took the fun out of it.
Yeah,
it really did. It took the fun out of it.
Yeah, it was the only season of the league that I know of that had, like, forfeits for the entire rest of the season. Again, nobody's to blame. Obviously, there's one person to blame, but it happened. It is what it is. Like, you can't really do much about it. So season 5, you're back again with a new team. You've got Relkin and Will WC, two awesome dudes. How did that kind of come about?
That came about, I want to say, probably because I started doing more NMG. I gradually, while playing Rando, I started dabbling in NMG. And again, going back to the orienteering part of my childhood, the splits part of speedrunning is so immensely satisfying to me, because it resonates well with that, with what I did as a kid. So NMG and speedrunning in general, like actually doing it, was something that I was sort of interested in. And I tried it out on my own, and obviously it was terrible the first time. But I kept on doing it because I liked seeing my splits getting better.
Sure.
So I kept on doing it, and eventually I did my, like, first NMG weekly and whatever, and started talking to Relkin a lot. And we ended up, like, playing the game with each other. And he asked me to join him on a team for League Season 5. And we then also asked Will to join, and he happily joined as well.
Yeah. How did your season go?
I want to say it went okay. I had slightly higher expectations. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, the team is legit, right? Got 3 really strong runners. Yeah.
Yes, I think we are, and I think that we did really well in groups. I'm still pissed about certain situations about my play, but overall we did well. But then we just completely botched in the first round of the playoffs, and just were eliminated as fast as possible.
I'm not gonna lie, I was super surprised, dude. I was super surprised. Not the fact that you lost to Don't Forget the Trackers, because again, Iker, Perd Wong, and Flip Hill, good runners, right? Like, there's no, you don't want to take anything away from them.
No.
But I thought, I mean, I expected you guys to go deep into the playoffs. And so that first round loss was, especially the fact that it was a sweep, was shocking. Yeah. It was shocking.
Yeah. But we didn't expect it either.
Yeah.
we were obviously hoping for more.
Right.
And I remember my races because Will and Relkin, like me being European and them being American, they played during their evenings when I was happily asleep, so I didn't watch them.
Sure.
But I remember mine, and I remember them being, they were decided upon one decision, like basically all of them. And the reason I lost was, at least I can call it back to one decision. I left Samaria in Hera Basement in the playoff race for this year. I decided to leave Turtle Rock early in my inverted race versus Gamma when the hook shot was just further in Turtle Rock. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It was a lot of those like specific decisions that I would still make, I think.
Sure.
That decided it. It hurt when it happened, but it's okay. We're a team. We will hopefully come back for next season.
Sure. So I don't know. I mean, I've taken a ton of your time. I hope you're okay with that.
Dude, don't. It's basically the other way around. It's fun.
Talk to me a little bit about, because we're going to talk a little bit about your solo runs in some of the tournaments, but talk to me about your relationship between doing the solo stuff and doing the team stuff, and your feelings towards both.
It's, to me, it's really not that different.
Okay.
Like I said, I did some team sports growing up, and that was fun. But I enjoy competing individually. I really do. The team part of it all is, for me, mostly social.
I see.
And I enjoy cheering for my own team, and I genuinely do. But racing it, like at least when I still do my individual races, but as a team member, it's not different for me. Not really. The co-op runs, however, they are something different, and they are enjoyable in a completely different way than the other races. So it's I think it's mostly there that the difference lies, like in the individual races compared to the co-op races. Not necessarily competing as a team versus competing individually.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. So, okay, so let's talk about some of your individual stuff, because you've played in most of the big tournaments, right? Like, I feel like you're joining the main tournament, you're joining the Cross Keys tournament. How have those gone, and how have you progressed over the last 4 or 5 years?
Well, they've gone better. They've gone really well, I want to say.
I mean, you won an ladder invitational, right?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
I have finished second twice.
Oh, okay.
I lost to one Mr. Arrier in the Open Plus Invitational.
Okay.
And I lost to one Mr. Gamachu in the entrance invitation. That son of a bitch. Right. Everyone's nemesis. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I've finished second twice there.
Okay. I mean, that's damn good, man. And like, what about your like main tournament entries?
That hasn't gone as well, mostly because there are more people in the main tourney.
Right.
I think I've done three main tournaments. I made it to the first round of brackets in the first one, lost to Rami. Went to second round of the brackets, the second one, and lost to Weighty Words.
Okay.
Wait, no. Oh man, I don't remember.
Sure.
No, it wasn't Weighty. It was I don't remember. And I made it to third round of brackets last year, and I lost to Obscure,
the eventual champion.
The eventual champion.
Yeah. So this year finals.
Dude, I don't know. So here's the deal, and I've been pondering about this since yesterday when the results were revealed. I managed, when I did my first cross keys tourney, I have no idea how it happened. I managed to be number one seed in the qualifiers. I don't know how it happened, but it just happened. I literally was lucky. So I was number one seed after qualifiers, and then first round of the brackets, I lost to last seed. I lost to 64th seed. I should say 64th.
Yeah,
in the first round of brackets, which was weird. It was a weird experience. Like, I remember posting that result in the result channels of the CrossKeys Discord, and there were so many like D-colon emotes after that was all there was.
Yeah.
I'm trying with this one right now to feel like, boss, sick. I actually managed to be seated to get number one seed. That's awesome. I even get a prize for it. I get to do the review stream. That is going to be so fun.
Yep.
I don't feel pressured to perform. Actually, in the tourney,
sure.
I don't. I really don't. I don't. Even though I haven't won a tourney, I don't feel like I have something to prove anymore. I don't think.
I think that's such a relief, right? That allows you to just enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah. And obviously, I'm going to do my best. Obviously, I'm going to play, and I'm going to be slightly pissed when I lose.
Sure.
But
if you lose,
it's okay. Fair enough. All right. But I'm still really happy about this.
Yeah.
I'm still so
it feels like you've already won, right? Like,
sort of. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I think I am the winner of the tournament because
no. But you've won something. Like, you've already accomplished something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So you don't the winning the tournament doesn't matter as much because you've already won something.
Exactly.
You won something out of it. Yeah, you got something out of it.
Yeah. And I remember wall kicks. Like when you talk to wall kicks on this pod, I remember him saying that exact thing. Like, well, I remember you asking him, how do you deal with not performing as well as you want? And he just answered, I don't have to because I've won something. He said that exact thing, and it just came back to me right now. And okay, well, I didn't win a tourney. No, I didn't. But I won something.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
It is awesome, man. It is super awesome. Yeah. I'm excited to watch your reveal stream. I think you're just okay. So I'm gonna brag or gush a little bit. Right. You're one of my favorite people in the community. I love the way you play the game. I love your approach to the game. I've loved watching you get better at the game. Like, I remember early on not being necessarily afraid of playing Humbugh, right? Like, not because I was better than you or anything, but there's
no.
It wasn't like you were Ari or Andy or you know what I mean? Like, there's those guys built their reputation. But I've been here, along this journey, as you've been playing it and seeing you progress. And I don't know if there's anyone scarier to play right now than you. And I that's a total compliment to the way you've approached getting better. I don't even know exactly how you've done it, but you've just, your game has improved so much in the last few years. That's been really impressive. And I have no stake in it, so I shouldn't have any pride. But there's like this idea of like, oh man, I've known this guy for a while, and seeing him improve as much as he has been pretty awesome. That journey to improving, though, where do you think that comes from? Does it come from the sense of I want to be the best? Do you grind a lot? I know you said you did NMG. Is it your competitive nature? What are the things that you did to get to where you're at now?
Okay, first of all, thank you. That was very kind of you to say. Second, I think part of it is for sure NMG. That is a lot of it. It's not okay. So people, I see a lot of people think about NMG as something that will improve your execution. And yes, it will. Of course it will. It will improve your Mire 2. It will improve your Argus fight. It will improve your 1-on-1s on Ganon. Sure, it will, and you will gain time. But I don't think that's the part that will gain you the most time if you want to take it into random.
Mm-hmm.
What you will net the most from by playing NMG is that if you know that your execution is good, you don't have to skip as much. You don't.
Yeah.
You can actually do Iced Tea. You can actually go to Graveyard Ledge. Like, if you have confidence in your execution by practicing your execution, then you will statistically do better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people look at NMG as something that will only improve your execution, and sure it will, but only in a vacuum. It will also gain it will give you other benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But again, NMG is not for everyone. I know that. It's a grind. It's
sure, but there's ways to practice NMG strats without actually playing NMG, right? Like
it is.
Like,
and there are also ways to play NMG that doesn't feel like a grind.
Yep.
If you play it with like along someone else and just talk shit all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't become about the game necessarily. It's a social activity.
Yep.
But again, you have to enjoy it to begin with. And if you don't, then of course don't do it. That's okay, right?
Right.
Yeah,
totally.
I think NMG is a lot of it for those two factors, like execution and actually being confident in the execution, making me do more nuanced plays that I know will benefit me in the long.
It's worked for you, man, and it really has. Because again, your results have been pretty consistent the last, especially the last year or two.
Yeah, they have.
All right, so we've gone way over the hour. I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna ask you the tilt question, which is a funny one because if anyone's watched your stream, you'll get pissed off, right? Like if you do something, you're not afraid to like yell that you made a mistake or get pissed that you've done it. But I feel like it's never kept you down. So what's your approach to tilt? How do you handle the tilt, whether it's in the middle of a seed or at the end of a race?
I think I feel the tilt. I really do. I feel it in my stomach. Like I can feel me being pissed. I really can. I try to, the first thing that I try to do when I feel that I'm getting tilted is, okay, I do not want to be disrespectful to my opponent. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I realize that I'm getting tilted after losing a race. However I deal with that, I don't know, but either I just say GG and move on, or I say GG and probably sound a little salty, but hopefully not disrespectful.
Sure.
But I get pissed. I get salty for like for a part of the rest of the evening, and then the next day it's gone. I don't.
You don't hold on to it.
No, I don't.
And it doesn't hold on to you. Yeah, you're able to let it go. Yeah.
Yes. I'm still pissed about certain plays that I've done that I think was statistically the correct place, but that kicked me out of tournaments. I do, but it doesn't tilt me. It's just random.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really try to, like, I know that it will go away. The tilt part will go away. And if I act on the tilt part, like actually acting tilted, that might make other things like part of the community move away from me because I'm being an asshole. I don't want that. So I don't want to be an asshole. I want this community. I love it. Yeah. So I just don't want to be an asshole. So I just let it rinse off of me eventually, and it's fine.
That's good. Yeah, asshole is never a word that I've associated with you at all. Like, again, one of the good guys, man. One of the really good guys that I'm always going to be rooting for. Excited to see your run through this tournament coming up, and thank you so much for doing the show, man. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you, Fear. This was super fun. I've looked forward to this. So it was so fun just chatting and talking about this in an extended version, not just snippets.
Yeah,
everywhere. Sure. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Huge shout outs to Humbugh for coming on the show. Really loved having him. And I feel a good way to kind of wrap up the first year of 216. Let me know what you thought of some of the stuff that Humbugh had to say, and if you could relate to any of his backstory. Really interesting. Really cool to learn about orienteering. Like, he mentioned it, and I kind of let it slide, but then I had to get more information because I really didn't know what it is. And I don't know, it just seems really cool, really interesting. I'm definitely going to check it out in my area and hopefully get my lazy ass outside. All right, so that's going to do it for 216 for a little bit. Thank you all for listening to the show. Be back soon. Going to play some Tears of the Kingdom, like I mentioned. We'll probably record a couple episodes here or there, so just keep that feed active, and you'll see some 216 episodes popping up here or there. Excited about the future. Excited about this first year. It's crazy that it's been a year. Like, I haven't really put much thought into the fact that it has been a full year. Didn't know where 216 was going to go. Didn't know what it was going to be. Didn't know where my relationship with the game would be. But I've learned so much in this last year about all the different people in the community. Excited to learn about more people in the community. I just find it so fascinating to really understand or begin to understand who these people are that we're playing this game with. I hope 216 has been a positive impact on the community. I hope that you all have enjoyed it. I hope that you'll continue to enjoy it as we move forward. Huge shout outs to everyone that's been on the show this past year. Big shout outs to everyone for downloading and listening. And I really can't thank you all enough. I really can't. It's been a lot of fun. But we're still looking for the full 216. We have a lot more checks to do. So let's keep doing them. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're available everywhere. Join the Discord, 216pod.com, as a link to that. If you're into sports, there's a ton of sports talk going on, especially with the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs going on. The Seattle Kraken are about to hit the ice in about an hour and a half for Game 7. Nervous as hell. It's been a lot of fun getting into hockey. The Seahawks and the NFL just had the NFL draft. That was a lot of fun, especially as a Seahawks fan, to see them improve. Lots of sports talk going on in the 216 Discord. So if you're into sports, that's the place to be. Much love to everyone. I'll never stop talking about how appreciative I am to the people that take the time to download this and listen and post in the Discord. You make an old man happy, and I really appreciate it. So fingers crossed for Tears of the Kingdom, and we'll see you around. Thanks for listening.